everybody! Today we are going to be drawing a fishbowl with some fish in it. So I am going to be starting by filling the whole entire paper as much as I can with the bowl shape. So there's an artist named Henri Matisse, and he would make some of his fish bowls look like a big canister. So what I'm doing is across the top of my paper, I'm making a nice big oval. At the bottom of my paper, I am also going to make a nice big oval, trying to make it as similar as possible to the one above. If they're not exactly the same, that's okay. So I have two big ovals. Now, between those ovals, I'm going to pull a straight line down. And what I try to do is I try to just hold my arm steady and just pull my whole arm down. And that normally helps me make a pretty straight line. And I want it to touch the edge of that oval. So I'm ending at the edge of the other oval at the bottom. I like doing it top to bottom. It's easier for me to pull my arm instead of push my arm. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So now we have something that looks like a cylinder, which could also be like a tube. And now we get to add some of the fun details. Obviously, we need some fish, and we will also be adding a few other things as well. So to draw our fish, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. One way is to draw a hill and then a little tiny curve. That's going to be our fish's mouth. And upside down hill. So that's the fish's belly. Then I curve out, and then I make a big curve like that. So now I have a pretty simple fish. I can add some extra fins and an eyeball. And this one is swimming in that direction. Another way that I can draw a fish is by, again, drawing a hill, and then I'm going to draw a big curvier hill. And this fish is going to have kind of a wiggly tail. So I'm going to curve it out, but then I'm going to create a wiggly line. And again, that fin on top, the fin on the side, and I like to wiggle that one too. And another eyeball. And on this one, if you want to add some lines, you can. So that might be one of those goldfish that has the more flowy tails. Because on the artist Henri Matisse, he would paint a fish tank that looks like this, but then he would add goldfish inside. And your goldfish can be different sizes too. So you can choose which fish you like better and add some more on your own. So I'm going to add some more, and then I'll check back in a minute. Now you will notice that I have finished all of my fish, and Miss Tuttle has 4. 1, 2, 3, oh, just kidding, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one I made look like it's swimming right at us, so it's facing forward, and I did that by drawing the 2 eyes in the mouth. Then I put kind of an oval shape around it and added the fins sticking out, and then notice that the tail would stick out from behind. The next thing that we're going to do is add some more elements to our fish tank. A lot of times fish want a place to hide in the tank. A lot of times there's gravel at the bottom, so we're going to add some extra details to our big fish tank. I'm going to make kind of almost like a seaweed looking. So I'm kind of wiggling up. I'm going to come around and I'm going to wiggle back down. And then I'm going to do the same thing again from behind. So I'm going to wiggle up, not quite as far. And then I kind of turn around. Notice I'm not drawing through my fish, I'm coming back. Okay, and then I'm going to add a circle at the bottom, like an oval, because that's the part that holds it down onto the bottom of our tank. And then I can add a line coming down in the middle. Okay, you can add some gravel, so I'm just going to make kind of some funky shapes in the bottom. They're going to remind us of rocks or little stones. If you want, you can have them be circles. Some people use like those glass gems in the bottom of their fish tanks. It's really a preference, so you can draw it how you want it to be. Okay, I might add another kind of thing for them to hide in, and this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to draw the line, then I'm going to make it skinny coming down. This way I'll have something to color in. I'm going to add a second one. Then I'm going to add leaves coming out from it. And again, I'm going to add that oval at the bottom. And then I'm going to finish adding some rocks. You could even have a few larger rocks at the bottom too. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to make a bigger rock. And so notice that all of my rocks and my plants, they start inside this bottom oval. That way they look like they're in the bottom of the fish tank. So I'm going to finish filling this with some gravel, and then I am going to check back in and we're going to add a few more things, then we'll be ready to color. Now that I'm done adding most of my gravel at the bottom of my fish tank, we are going to need to draw another oval to show where the top of the water is. So right now it looks like the water goes all the way up. I know that this fish is pretty close to the top, but my water has to be above that fish because otherwise that fish would not be very happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a marker, you should be using a pencil. I'm going to draw kind of a barely wiggly line across, and I'm following that curve. Then I'm going to come across and follow the other curve and bring it down to there. So now it looks like this is the clear glass part, here is the top of the water. This is the clear glass part, and this is the top of the water, but we can see through since this is clear. Then what else I am going to do is I'm going to add a line for a table. So I'm going to make a line over here and a line over here. But then I also want to kind of reinforce the fact that this tank, I can see through it. So I'm going to carefully add a table line behind the fish tank. So you'll see that that helps us see that that's where the table is. The next thing that I am going to add is color. So I am going to start to color. I'm going to color in the things in the foreground first. The foreground is the stuff that's close to us. When it's time for me to worry about the background and the space around my fish, then I will come back and talk to you about that in a minute. At this point, I have all the items in my fish tank colored, and for our fish tank, we have a couple of choices. Number one, you could, if you wanted to, show that the water is blue, and you could use like a blue-green color and color around, but we know in real life that the water isn't actually blue. So one thing I'm going to show you is if I'm going to make my table brown, and I'm going to press normally, maybe even just a little bit firmly, which means just a little bit hard, not hard enough that I'm breaking my crayon. But remember, broken crayons still color. It's okay if it breaks. So if I color firmly so that brown is fairly dark, the next thing that I can do is I am going to color in behind my fish and everything with brown as well, because I would be able to see the brown through my fish tank. One cool trick that you can use though to make it look more like we're having to look through the glass of the fish tank is you just press a little bit lighter. So right now this is pretty dark. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press lightly, and you can see the difference, and that kind of makes it look like the glass is blocking some of that color, and it just helps it look like it is sitting on the table. So do you see how that's just a little bit lighter? And I would fill in all of this with that light brown. And if you made your table a different color, you can absolutely use a different color for your table. I like using brown because I always think of like a wooden table, but tables can be painted different colors too. So I'm going to finish up coloring the inside, and then we'll talk about our background. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to color the very background of my artwork purple. But another thing that Henri Matisse would do is he would add kind of the reflections of those fish in the water. So something that you can do is you can kind of estimate, hey, I have one fish here, come straight up, and kind of just color almost like a little blob to show, hey, there's a fish there. I might also color kind of another fish here. So I'm not making it perfect, but I am kind of just showing, you know, hey, there's fish in the water. And so I am making them look like they're showing up in the reflection of the top of the water. And then I would use the purple or violet and fill the background. Again, pressing more firmly on the outside and less firmly on the inside. You might also leave some of this, the top of the water, white for reflections. So I'm going to deal with that absolutely the last thing. So right now I'm just going to deal with out here, this part, and then this curved part. So in this section, you'll notice that I have left kind of this white oval, and that's where the reflections of the goldfish are. What I am going to do is I'm going to very, very lightly kind of make some wiggly shapes, and those I am going to leave white to show that those are shiny parts. They almost kind of like squished clouds. They almost kind of look like squished clouds a little bit. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to color that purple around those kind of funky shapes and I am kind of coloring over the orange a little bit, but again, I'm pressing so lightly that the orange still really shows up as a shiny part in our water. And those fish reflections. So now if you look, it looks like we have the shiny parts of the water, our fish reflections, our fish tank, and it looks like we're looking through the glass to the background, because we know that in real life, if we were able to look at a fish tank, the water is fairly clear because it's a smaller space, so we would be able to see through to the background. I hope you enjoyed drawing along and creating a piece of artwork similar to the artist Henri Matisse, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.